All right, for any of you that don't know me, I'm Lloyd Alvis Agee, and I do mostly oil painting. Sometimes I do a little carving, a few mosaics, and those type of things. And let's see. Usually do oil painting. I get most of my inspiration from nature, waterfalls, sunsets, forests, rolling hills, animals, and all wildlife, and domesticated animals as well. And I grew up the son of a sharecropper, so I was on a farm my whole life, moving from farm to farm. And then finally in the 6th grade, we settled on one farm, and I stayed there until I graduated from high school. And let's see here. I started drawing when I was a young child, and I did my first painting at 12 years old. And from there on, I've not looked back. I've painted ever since. Now I'm 64, so it's been a long time. And my process, I usually start out on just an normal stretch canvas, and sometimes I put a grid on it like this, sometimes I don't. If I put a grid on it, I usually have these and put the grid on top of a photograph or something like that, and do it that way. And usually when I like to start my canvas, I like to cover the white completely with a first coat of something just to get it covered so the white's not glaring back at me. And then after that dries, then I'll start progressing to start laying in other colors and that type of thing. And I've worked most of my life doing other things because painting normally doesn't pay the bills. So I worked in a restaurant as a cook and worked for the city of Richmond when I was younger, and then I worked as a painter for a lot of years, and then for 25 years I worked on a horse farm. So most of my work's been outside. And then 3 years ago I got the opportunity to retire early and pursue it a little bit. And took a couple of my paintings down to the Richmond Area Art Center and showed them to Debbie Kidd, the art director down there, and she liked them and gave me a show, and I've been doing quite a bit of it ever since. And some artists like to paint all their paintings pretty much in one sitting, hurry up and get it done, but normally I'd take quite a few sittings. Monet himself, he did the same thing. He would paint for about an hour, and then he would put it up and let it dry to another day, and then he would come back and do over again. And Thomas Kincaid himself, he would put up 16 coats on some of his lights when he finished the painting. I have paintings around town at various businesses. I'm a member of the Kentucky Guild of Artists, and I have paintings over there, and I'm a member of Main Street Gallery. I have paintings down there. The Gallery of Danville, and that's pretty much it. They're all around town here. And does anybody have any kind of questions about anything?
Do you teach art?
I do. I teach down at the Richmond Area Art Center on Wednesdays
What time?
from 9:30 till 11:30.
Oils or acrylic?
Either one, it's whatever the person wants to learn. And I'm even, in a couple of weeks, there's a couple of ladies that want to learn some watercolor, so I'm going to show them some watercolor
Oh, so
techniques.
you do work on it.
Yeah, I took some Pat Banks classes as well. She-
And I'm one of the ladies that does
Yes, that's
the
right. Sharon is
art
right.
class
One of the
with
ladies-
Elvis. And when I started, I had had a stroke. And the reason I started was to try to get some fine motor back. And I couldn't even hold a pencil. And Elvis is very encouraging. He's very patient. He's a big cheerleader. Whatever you do is great. You're doing a wonderful job, even when it looks really bad. He tells you how great it is. But that's just to build your courage and your confidence, because now I can see my mistakes, and I really can paint, believe it or not. I really actually can paint things, and people know what they are when I'm done. So I'm quite impressed with myself and what Elvis has done.
Thank you. As far as any art training, I have took Art 1 and Art 2 in Madison Central High School. Miss Joanne Nacita was my teacher, and she was a great lady. And they only had it for 2 years. I took at my freshman, sophomore class. But during my junior and senior class, she gave me permission slips to leave the study hall, so it was kind of like another art class when I went down there. And after that, everything else has been pretty much self-taught.
Do you ever paint from photographs, like if you want to paint a sunset or a particular cloud pattern? Do you ever photograph it so it'll hold still for you?
Sometimes. I do it both ways. Sometimes I paint from photographs like that. That's when I'll use a little grid I showed you. I'll put it up on the canvas so I'll get everything in the right proportions. And that way. Sometimes I paint just straight, just looking at it plain air, right out in the scene.
That's the term for when you're painting outside
It is.
in plein air.
Plain air.
Plein-
Yeah, that term's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
The reason I like to cover the canvas completely like that before I really start putting any detail in, that way you can see the values and the tones. Because a lot of times if you just try to finish one area and then you go in and you start painting the other area after you put the color on it, you realize that all your values are wrong. And then you've done all the detail work for nothing. You'll have to go over it and readjust it.
Do you have a certain color you cover it with first?
No, it varies. I go from one color to the other. Sometimes I use a pale blue or green. Sometimes a real warm color like a deep red, nothing real bright, but toned down.
Do you ever do portraiture?
I do.
You do?
I do quite a bit of portrait. Over the years, I probably did 20 or 30 portraits for various people.
On commission?
Yeah, on commission.
Wow.
And he does a heck of a good job.
Matter of
I
fact,
know.
I just finished one for her, just gave it to her a few days ago.
It's gorgeous.
Does he lie when he paints?
I beg your pardon?
Does he lie when he paints?
No, because it was my granddaughter and she's absolutely gorgeous, so
Okay.
I captured her smile.
Lie.
It was of her and her little dog.
But when he does it, it's like you're really looking at her. I don't know how he does it. There's that little twinkle in her eye. There's that teasing smile, like we would be looking at her and talking to her. And I'm just amazed that he actually can capture that. Because I sent him through email a photograph. My granddaughter does not know that we're doing this.
Through email?
I emailed him a photo.
You didn't give him the actual photo?
No.
She sent it to me to my email address, and I put it on my Photoshop on my computer and blew it up and just looked at it on the computer screen, painted from that.
Okay.
It's amazing. It really is amazing what he can do. I'm shocked. I am shocked.
You mentioned sculpture.
No, I don't really do any sculpture. I do some wood carving.
Carving, you said.
What kind of wood carving? Walking sticks or
Walking
whistles
sticks.
or?
Rick, you want to go out there to my truck and bring in a couple of them more
Yeah.
sticks?
Wish I brought that up that you got, I had it.
And what time you're at it, bring that one painting, the one that I did, my very first one I ever did. I have it
I
out
wonder
there.
if you still have it. I would like to see that, yeah.
So I've had it since I was 12, so I've had it.
Because I'm suspecting
40
you
years.
can't be taught this. A lot of it has to be inborn,
I don't know.
like the best baseball player, the best
Somewhere
swimmer.
good as what I've done already.
I think some of it though, I think a lot of it is a natural talent. But I know with myself, I had none. I literally had none. But now I can say, oh, this needs to be darkened, or I need to put more shadow here, or I need to lighten this up.
Well, you were able to point your talent out.
Yes,
You didn't. No, you had.
exactly.
She gets better
That's right.
constantly.
When you're talking about carving, I was walking the other day
Uh-huh.
and just walked by a branch that was on the side of the road or the sidewalk or something, and thought, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like walking sticks. It was such a big, I mean, it wasn't that, you know, the trunk was only like this big.
Mhm.
And then, but all the branches were like, you know,
Right.
and I've seen these elaborately carved walking sticks at, you know, fairs and festivals, like with old men carved into them, and,
Yeah, that's what a lot of people like to carve them old wood spirits and old men with the big beards and stuff.
yeah. And I don't know, when you said carving, it just made me think of the walking sticks, and you do them.
I'll do it up here. I haven't get too many.
He's gonna bring some
He's-
in?
I've got a couple that he's gonna bring.
Good, good, great. So they chose one or two of yours to hang up at the hospital?
Of my paintings,
Yeah.
I've got 9 up there, I think.
Do you?
These are the walking sticks, yeah.
Wow, this is so beautiful, this one, I mean, the snake's pretty cool, but I just love vines and flowers. This is beautiful. This is, whoops.
I haven't seen anything like that.
Oh,
I
wow.
have them at the fairs,
But
not like that.
not that stuff.
No.
Did you sign it somewhere?
Not yet, but I need to. It's very time consuming. The one of the snake took a little bit over 40 hours to carve.
Friends of mine would think I'd like the snake more, but I love the flowers.
Friends of yours think you like this.
Well,
Is that real snake skin or you just imitate it?
Yeah.
I just imitated, that's actually wood.
I'd have to have it the right height.
Yeah,
Do you make them with a handle on the,
I am going
You
to.
can't if you
I've
find a
got
branch
some,
like that.
got some I just started. Now, these were carved from wooden dies that you buy at Lowe's.
nothing, was it? That's why it's so even.
That's why it's so straight.
Gosh, that's beautiful. I can touch it with my fingers.
what kind of wood, how did you shape it around the pole, the
Well,
snake?
the snake was the size of the pole. The pole was the size of the whole thing, and I just carved it down.
Oh, I see. That was a lot of work.
That's the reason I put 40 hours into it.
But the color.
How many hours did you say it took you to do, like, about like, I know you told me about like 4 lines of scale?
Four lines of the scales took about an
I'll
hour.
look at it again.
So
Isn't that something?
Put the scales
I
on.
mean,
But even when you feel it, it feels like a snake would feel.
Snake
Yeah.
I mean, how difficult must it have been to keep the pole that the snake is wrapped around even
Even.
when it was, I mean,
You just have
did
to
you-
stop and sit back and look at it and think about what you're going to do as you go.
Did you use a lathe or did you use a chisel?
I used a chisel.
Oh.
With a lathe, you wouldn't have been able to have got into the little fine areas of it without it causing some kind of mistake.
thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
You're beautiful.
Thank you. This is the painting I did when I was 12-year-old. It's nowhere near as good as some of my newer stuff.
That's beautiful. Where is that done?
That was just done, I lived in Waco at the time when I was a young boy.
Oh, I like
I
that.
was kind of a construct. I just kind of built it in my mind and painted it from scratch.
Oh, you didn't look at something?
No.
Oh.
I hadn't been taught anything really. That's before I took any of the art classes or anything. I just
Oh.
happened to have some paints and some canvas, and I just sat down and started doing it. This was the end result.
And you had a sense of shading and perspective
yeah,
and,
You know, the perspective on the barn, as you can tell, it's not 100% right. But I hadn't learned anything about perspective at that time.
even your rocks.
But you know, the rocks, I just figured that out naturally on my own, just trying to figure out the shading and the various things.
And the rest of your work is now displayed in the library?
Some of it is about 15 paintings or so.
Yeah.
Do you choose the frames, or do you frame them? Or do you go to a framer and let the framer choose the frames?
I frame them.
You frame them?
Usually most of my frames are yard sale finds
Oh,
if they're not in good enough shape, I'll refinish them and revarnish them and stain them and that type of thing to get them looking back to new.
Yeah, you make some frames too.
Occasionally I do make frames from scratch. Go get the wood at Lowe's or somewhere and make them when I have the time.
I have two of Elvis's paintings. They're winter scenes, and we're from Maine, so it reminded me of home. When we went out to cut the Christmas tree, just this first snow, nobody had walked on it, and a lot of blues, it's gorgeous. So I said, I gotta have this, so I bought one, and then a few months later, he brought in another one that I called the twin to the one I had, except that it had a little stream.
Oh.
So I have them both, and we figured out they're 108 inches lengthwise on my wall. So I have them side by side.
Oh.
They were 24 by 48, they were fairly large paintings. So they took up the whole wall.
What kind of Christmas trees would you chop?
What kind?
What,
Christmas trees.
what, Maine?
Yeah.
Um,
Fir tree,
yeah,
but
Douglas,
not-
usually Douglas's are,
Oh, yeah.
not cat spruce.
except
I
when you
learned
went
that,
out, and then
yeah.
we got the cat spruce.
Have you ever, cat spruce, have you ever heard of that?
no.
Well, they're beautiful trees, they really are. They're usually very nicely shaped.
I haven't heard of them, so they must not be around here.
But when you bring them in and they hit the heat, they smell like cat urine.
Oh,
And Doug was working away, and we had it in the front living room that had French doors, so it kept it a little cooler. I can't imagine if we'd had it where the heat was really.
Right.
And he came home from working out of town for the week, and he said, I said, oh, we decorated the tree, you know, blah, blah, the kids and I, da, da, da. He said, I could see the look on his face, and he kept saying, and he kept walking closer to the tree, and then he'd walk away, and he'd walk closer, and he said, where did you get this tree? I said, from the little man with the truck by the railroad tracks, isn't it pretty? He said, it's a gorgeous tree, but he said, I think you've got a cat spruce. I said, what is that? He said, can you smell it? And after I stood in there a little while, yes. So we had to undecorate the whole tree,
Aw.
take everything off,
Aw.
take it out, the birds loved it, but take it out, and then Doug went and bought a new tree that was not snowy. But yeah, cat spruce. So never, if you ever, anybody says, I'll give you a cat spruce, say no and
If
run.
it's the most beautiful, perfect Christmas tree you see in the lot, don't buy it. And they do, they make beautiful Christmas trees,
They're gorgeous.
because they're always shaped just perfect. The
Do they look
leaves,
like
the
blue
limbs come down
Christmas?
perfect.
Kind of, yes, they kind of do, ma'am.
But less blue.
Yes, and very smelly and when the heat hits.
Same shape and needles,
Mm-hmm.
just less blue.
I have a question. What does your Christmas tree look like?
My Christmas tree? What do you mean?
How do you, an artist, decorate your Christmas tree?
Pretty much like everybody else does, I just use lights and the same things that people put on. Just,
Are you asking if he makes his own ornaments?
Maybe
No,
that's it.
no.
I don't.
I
I have painted a few Christmas trees, paintings of Christmas trees for Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, very nice.
How about carving a little scenes or something, or?
That is a good idea. You know, I've just got into the carving here lately,
Oh, okay.
so I've only carved about 5 or 6 walking sticks, and that's been about it so far.
Well, and they take a long time, right?
They do.
Well, wouldn't that be more like a winter, like when, as the weather gets cooler here? Like a winter project, because you're
If you don't-
inside more?
If you don't care about the little wood scraping stuff into your floor.
Ooh,
Sharon will come over and clean.
no, I
Just
won't.
call her.
No, I won't. No,
Did you see this one?
yeah, I did, it's gorgeous, isn't it? It's absolutely
It's
beautiful.
very beautiful.
I like them.
Anybody have any more questions?
They're lovely.
Where do you live now?
I live here outside of Richmond, about 4 miles.
Okay. Still toward Irvine or,
Yeah, toward Irvine.
yeah? So do you do outdoor scenes of Irvine? That's a nice area.
I have done some from up that way out in the country.
Uh-huh.
I did one up there, there's a road, but right before you get to Irvine, it turns off to the left. It had a nice, beautiful scene of the rolling hills, and I did a painting of it.
Right.
It sold a couple of years ago over at Rib, at the Arts and Crafts Fair.
Do you paint horses?
I do. When I worked on the horse farm, you know, I had a lot of material over there to paint from.
Yeah, he painted one of a horse, and I got to tell you, it's the best he ever done. It's Empire Maker, was that what his name? It did not look like a painting.
Wow.
And that looked like a picture. Everybody, he had his first show and had it, and everybody loved it. And we had one, a member of the family wanted to buy it, and she didn't. And I know he ended up selling. She called back and wanted it, and she regretted not getting it because it was, to me, it's the best he ever did. I just, you just had to see it. No
In my
more.
first show down at the Richmond Arts Center 2 years ago, it was a 18 by, or 24 by 36. Empire Maker was second in the Kentucky Derby, and he won the Belmont. So he was a pretty good horse.
Are the pictures in the library mostly landscapes or animals too? And-
It's a mix. There's some landscapes. There's quite a few birds.
Oh, okay.
Do you take a picture of the bird first, or do you just, how do you get it?
Some of them I took a picture of birds. Some of them were from already taken photographs, so I had to change them somewhat so that it wouldn't be copyright infringement.
Right.
So you're enjoying yourself.
Oh, yes,
You're
it's been,
enjoying the retirement.
I am. It's been a whole lot of fun. The last couple of years, it's been a blast, been able to
That's great.
paint all the time.
What did you do before you retired?
I was a foreman on a horse farm.
Foreman?
I had a lot, 4 or 5 people working underneath of me, and we did all the gardening work on the horse farm. Took care of the grounds and flowers and trees and shrubs and
Oh, wow.
that type of thing.
And you don't wear glasses when you paint,
I do.
oh, do you?
I do. To be able to
Oh, I see.
see stuff small, I have to put my glasses
I
on.
wondered if you didn't need any eye assistance, and you said you were 64.
Yeah, I'm a little bit farsighted, so when things are close like this, I need a little bit of assistance. But as far as, standing around talking to people, I say fine. Just whenever you think you're
Mary, he always can see my mistakes and our mistakes in our paintings at class with no glasses from 500 miles
But
away.
he can see that from a glance, uh-huh.
Yeah, he sure can.
Well, that's what his vision is poor, but he can see a postage stamp laying over there on his knee.
Yeah, I hear you on that, I do.
And see the value on it.
You in the class, you probably just want to bring one of the walking sticks that's about that big around.
I pay attention, I like my, and that's the thing, I shouldn't say this, because I never say anything nice to you, because I don't want you to think I like you as a teacher and a friend. But I love the art class because it's 2 hours, We get in there, we get going, and somebody will look up inevitably and say, oh, it's almost time to clean up. And I always say, it can't be.
Is it back in the art center?
No,
Yeah, that.
we were there once, twice,
To the
We-
basement of the bank next door.
To the bank.
because they're still working, they've been redoing the floor upstairs, and it's beautiful what they've got done so far. It's gonna be gorgeous when they're done. Yeah, they think what, October, Alvis?
Yeah,
Maybe in
on
October.
the email I got just yesterday, it said that they were gonna have a grand opening celebration early in October
Where?
at the Richmond Area Arts Center.
Where's that located?
The
It's on-
corner of Water Street and Lancaster.
It used to be a church, man.
Oh, I think I know where that is.
You know where Central Bank is on the corner of Lancaster and
Yeah,
Main?
it's right behind
It's right
it,
behind it.
Yes.
Okay. There's something going on in a week or two, isn't there? Another thing that, a
Yeah,
gala?
The Arts Gala,
Mhm.
yeah, the Arts Gala.
But that's gonna be at EKU, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be at EKU.
Oh, okay.
So is that a ball?
Pretty much, that's pretty much what it is. They also, they have a live band and
Silent auction,
Silent
live
auction.
auction.
And
dancing.
this all supports the Richmond Area Arts Council?
So it's like, they also award scholarships to students for after-school programs, maybe
Oh.
children that couldn't afford to go, that would be a great candidate. They do lots of things like that in the within the community.
Mhm.
They have summer programs that run all summer, different things for the children.
This exhibit here, this is through the library and the Main Street Gallery. It doesn't have anything to do with the Richmond Arts Center.
I appreciate you coming, talking to us, tell us about
Enjoyed it. Is there
yourself.
anything else anybody wants to know about painting technique or?
You always use the same technique?
No, not always. Sometimes I'll try to be realistic, sometimes I'll try to be impressionistic,
Right. And it's always oil or acrylic?
mostly oil.
Okay.
Every once in a while I'll do acrylic, especially when I'm teaching a class, because a lot of them students do acrylic, so
Mhm.
I'll do one along with them.
What's the easiest medium?
It's according to what you're looking for. Each one has its drawbacks. Acrylics dry really fast, which can tend to make you have overlaps which don't look good unless you move pretty quickly. But the good part of acrylics is because it dries so fast, you turn right around in 10 minutes and do another layer. If you're using oil paints, it won't dry for at least one day and sometimes 2 or 3, and in the wintertime up to a week. So you're either painting wet into wet, or you have to wait a good amount of time to put another coat on. Different artists use different styles. Some paint wet into wet and keep right on going. I tend to let mine dry from time to time, start on another painting.
How long does it take you to do a painting?
It varies what the subject matter is, how complicated it is. They'll run from anywhere from 5, 6 hours for something simple, up to 20 hours, 30 hours, sometimes even 40 or 50 hours for great big ones that are really elaborate.
How quickly did you do that one when you were 12?
That one was just about 3 hours or something.
Really?
So that was all painted pretty much in one quick layer. That's before I had learned how to do multiple layers
And learn to take your time and,
and learn to take the time. That was just something I was learning as I went, and each stroke I put on with the tree limbs and the barn and rocks and all that stuff was the first time I'd ever attempted anything like that. I had watched an elderly man on TV paint. His name, I think, was William Alexander. And he painted pretty much in the same style that Bob Ross, if you've ever seen any of his shows on TV. I'd say that's who Bob Ross probably copied his style from. And I had watched him a few times, and other than that, I had never tried it before.
Wasn't Bob Ross the guy with
The fuzzy afro.
the fuzzy hair?
Happy
He died,
trees.
didn't he?
Happy
Yeah.
accidents.
Yeah, he died
Yeah, he
in
passed
95.
away.
But they still run his shows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so one of these
They're
shows.
all too.
Do you have a photograph of that beautiful horse?
The,
I probably do at home.
That would be something to
Mhm.
consider having
I know I have it.
printed.
I did have it on my computer, and I had a computer crash. But I think I've still got it on the hard copy of the photograph.
Yeah, if you got permission to have the photograph shown. that
Well,
would
I went to the farm before I even sold the painting and asked for permission
be- uh-huh.
after I'd done that from there.
Mm.
Because I had painted a few of their horses, and I thought, well, just to be on the safe side, I went and asked them, and they had to go through channels, they had to go call, you know, everybody, and finally they gave me a call and said, yeah, go right ahead.
So you have that in writing someplace?
Yeah.
what is that horse again?
Empire Maker,
Empire.
Yeah, I'd like to see a photograph of it.
okay.
I mean, a large one.
Mhm.
Well,
And maybe if you have any of the other horses you've painted too, as a photograph.
It's quite a review for someone to
I
say.
painted Miz and Mast.
You couldn't even tell it was a painting.
And that's a trick.
That's quite a
And
statement.
It's down at the Main Street Bakery, if you want to stop in there one day and look at it.
Oh, okay,
It's
thanks.
a large painting.
Yeah,
Miss Mast, Miss Mast is a grayish white horse.
good.
Is that the one that we saw, that you had upstairs at RAAC?
You probably saw it.
Or was it Empire Maker, or do we? I don't
You
remember.
probably saw both of them.
Because I remember you came upstairs and talked about your,
I was thinking it was a sorrel or a.
That was Empire Maker.
Okay, okay. I watched Jerry Yarnell paint this. Well, once a week he's on.
Yeah.
You're more in his style.
I've watched a lot of them, some of them.
Rather than impressionistic, he's pretty realistic.
Yeah. He paints acrylics most of the time.
Yes.
You mentioned Monet. Who's your favorite artist of the masters?
Monet.
Monet.
Ever since I was a young man, I've always really loved his colors, his brush strokes. But you know, I like Van Gogh and Renoir, and I like them all.
And we'll call you Claude Agee. How about that? Or Salvador Agee.
Yeah, yeah.
I like Rembrandt for, he's not so much on his color, but for brush stroke technique, he's a good artist to study. Because his paintings are pretty much all brush stroke. He does his forms with his brush strokes.
So the children that take your classes as well as the adults get all of this good information.
Yes, I had a few children during the summer. Now, of course, they're back in school.
Yeah.
Had one little girl, 8-year-old, that was taking a class,
Uh-huh.
and she made some improvements.
I think they're impressing their art teachers right now, aren't they?
So, is there anything else anybody would like to add?
Can you take us out to show us your paintings and show us a little bit about them?